Hey, yo, welcome back to another episode of Put 30 on the Clock. I'm Coach Phil, and as usual, let's get right to it. Now, normally we don't go live, but I'm going live this time because I wanted to give everybody a chance to interact if they wanted to interact. So if you wanted to jump in, feel free to jump in, feel free to comment, but we still going to cover what we need to cover. And if you looked at the title, you know what that is. It is basketball in October. All right, so we're talking about basketball in October. If you caught the last two episodes of basketball in September and August, then you have an idea of where this is going. So like I said, feel free to interact. Feel free to say what's up. Gentlemen, welcome in. Feel free to say what's up. If you got a comment or anything, I'll get to it. But I just want to make sure that we have this while it's still October 6th and we have a few days left in this month to make sure that we come into basketball with the right approach. So with that being said, October basketball, especially if you are a high school basketball player, there's a few things that you need to look into and a few things that you need to take care of. The first thing is your mindset and approach, which is that your season has already begun. Now, that might come as a shock to some of you because y'all like, yo, we still doing conditioning. We still lifting weights. We don't even have rights to the gym because volleyball is in there. And that's true. But the mindset is that your season has begun because your competition has started. At this point, you've already had your off season. You've already done your preseason. You already did your off season workout. You played AAU. That's great. Some of y'all are even playing fall ball with your team. You're already competing. That's cool too. But when I say your competition has started, what it means is you are now locking in on the people that are either in front of you, on your level, or below you. So whether you're the starter, whether you're the second string, the third string, you don't have a spot on the team yet, whatever your role is on this team, whatever your spot is and wherever you're trying to go, your competition has started and it has nothing to do with other teams. Your competition is internal. Your competition is with your teammates because you're trying to lock down a spot, you're trying to lock down a role, and there's no more time for games right now. Coaches have decisions to make, and this is the decision time. To tell you the truth, the tryouts that come like the first week of November is really just to see if they missed anybody or to see if there's any football players that could be of use to the team or what roles they might have. But really, this is really your tryout period right here. So you're competing and it just got real at this point. So with this mindset, by the time the season starts, you'll be ready to go because you've been going at somebody and somebodies. You've been going at people for like 2 months already because the first game of the season is like November 29th, maybe December 1st or something like that. But you'll be ready to go because you've already adopted the mindset that my season has begun and you have to be ready for all this smoke. You got to take people out. Right? Not injure people. I'm not saying you need to injure people. What I'm saying is you got to be ready to like make it clear that this spot belongs to you. Right? Unfortunately, too many of us get caught just trying to play, just trying to be a part of the team, one of the guys, one of the girls, whatever. And because of that, we end up giving up things that belong to us. You have to adopt the mindset that you put in all of this work for a reason. And that reason, that time has come for that reason to manifest, for it to be clear to everybody that those stuff you've been doing is for a reason, and that reason is now. The time has come for that to be made known to everybody, right? So you're intentionally going at people. The person, let's say you're competing for a big man role, right? You want to be one of the bigs. You want to make sure that you box out the other big every single time. You want to make it clear that they can't get a rebound over you ever, that when you clear space, they move back. Let's say you are a point guard. You want to make sure that you handle the ball better than every other point guard and you pick up every other point guard 94 feet, right? You want to make sure that it is clear that when it comes to making a play for somebody else, hitting open jump shots, knocking down your free throws, knowing what the plays are, holding people accountable, putting people in the right place to succeed. When it comes to being a point guard, you make it clear that you are dominating this role and nobody else can even all they can do is ask for the second place, right? If you're the shooter, you need to knock down the shots. There's no there's no more time for be like, oh, you in a slump or, you know, you're not used to the passes from your teammates or whatever. You've been with these people for over a month now. You know who can do what. You know how to handle what from who. You need to start knocking shots down. You need to show that you're an offensive threat. You need to be able to lock down 2s and 3s. You need to show that you're the best 2 out there. So whatever it is that you're doing, you need to find those people specifically in your way and dominate them. You need to make it clear that they have no business even applying. They have no business even submitting an application for this role, right? There's no purpose in even applying for this starting position. It belongs to me. So you're intentionally going at your main competition and you're going to expose them. This is not a time for friendship. This is not a time for camaraderie. That will happen when we get uniforms, right? We can be a team once we get uniforms. Right now, we're not on the same page. We're not on the same team, and there's not any understanding, right? We could be cool off the court, right? But you need to know that it's smoke the moment we step on this court. Some people might want to play mind games and say things and set you up and all. That's a whole nother thing where they start taking what's on the court off the court. That you manage those relationships. But as far as on the court, you have to start exposing people, man. You have to start exposing their weaknesses, all right? This is an election year, as you've noticed, all right? 2024, it's an election year. In an election year, you're getting all these messages from competing political candidates. They're begging for your vote so that they can get the role that they want, right? They can get the job that they want. Well, they have no shame embarrassing the other person in a debate. They have no shame embarrassing the other person in a commercial. They have no shame embarrassing this person in a campaign. And it's not like it's personal. They are trying to make the other person look as bad as possible so they can look as good as possible and earn your vote. You are not trying to embarrass people for the sake of embarrassing them in front of the coaches. You are trying to embarrass people for the sake of making it clear that this role belongs to you. You are exposing their weaknesses at every opportunity that you get. This is not playtime. This is not fun time. This probably might be the most stressful 30 days of the whole process, especially if you have good competition for the role that you want, all right? You don't want coach to be like, oh, I'm going to let y'all split time or I'm going to let y'all split responsibilities. Nah, we here to try to dominate and take over. Like, this don't belong to you. This is mine, and I need to make it clear. And one of the ways you do that is exposing their weaknesses. This is the coach's decision time, not tryouts, not the first week of tryouts. Right now is the coach's decision time. Tryouts, like I said, is for the football players and to see if they missed anybody, right? Maybe somebody didn't have their physical, so they wasn't working out this whole time. Whatever. Right now is the real coach's decision time. Tryouts is really to fill like 2 or 3 spots, right? So you got to really make sure that you're going at people to make sure that you take what belongs to you, all right? Now, when the dust from all of that settles, right, when you gave it your best shot, you're basically at the mercy of the judges, which are the coaches, right? And in a perfect world, you're going to get exactly what you worked for, right? But we don't live in a perfect world. Things don't work out the way you want it to work out all the time. So I want you to be prepared for the worst case scenario, because the best case scenario, everybody's ready for that. So I don't need to go over that. I want you to think about the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is that the worst case scenario is that they cut you, right? And that is really that's something you really have to take into account, where it's like, yo, I put in all this work and y'all cut me. I'll tell you this, on a high school level, if you really put the work in, it's hard to get cut. They tell you that it's hard to make a team, it's hard to succeed, it's hard to do that. But if you really put in the work over the summer, even if you're not the best player, if you're any kind of usable, you will make the team. So the worst possible scenario is that you put in a ton of work and you didn't make that. That's like super rare. You have to go to like a really elite high school for that to happen. But if that happens, ask the coach exactly what it is you could work on, and don't let him tell you, oh, work on your ball handling, because that's such a generic. Work on your shooting. That's so generic. You wouldn't even know how to. Is it catch and shoots? Is it shooting off the dribble? Is it shooting free throws? Is it shooting threes? Is it mid ranges? What exactly? Be specific about what it is you want me to improve on, coach, because you didn't let me play for a reason. So if it comes down to the point that you get cut and you really tried your best, you need to get specific and clear answers as to why you did not make it. Don't just settle for, oh, you need to work on your ball handling. You need to work on your defense. Keep working hard. Keep working hard is code word for get out of here. We're not going for that. You need specific answers. Specific. The more specific, the better. All right? That's if you were to get cut. Now, if you were to make the team, but you get a role that you don't want, and my favorite one is like, say you're a junior trying to make varsity, and they say that you got to play JV, right? If that happens, that is clearly something you don't want, because as a junior, with pride, as someone who put in the work, as someone who really paid the price to be here, you don't want to be a junior on JV, because everybody knows that you're a junior on JV, right? I would say take the role, take the job, because at the very least, you're still a part of the system. You get to know what the coaches are doing. You get to stay around the team. You get to practice every single day. I don't care what you say. There's going to be days where you don't feel like playing basketball. There's going to be days you don't feel like working out. And the only thing that's really going to get you to go do that is when you have like the responsibility of others depending on you. Like when you're on a team, you know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be days where if you were to get cut and you wasn't on the team, where you're not going to want to play ball and you're not going to do it. Right? Lou Williams, like I've said in other episodes before and other times, he said the difference between us NBA players and almost everybody else is that we play basketball on days that we don't want to. All right? There's nothing that can replace being on a team where you're going at this for 6 days a week for a minimum of 2 hours a day. Like you're not putting in 12 hours a week by yourself. You might play 12 hours, right? You might go hoop, but the amount of instruction, the amount of structure, the pressure, the conditioning, the repetitions. There's nothing like being in that environment. You cannot replicate that. There's no AAU team you can play over in the winter. Even though there's AAU in the winter, which is really, really wild. But there's no AAU team, there's no club basketball in the winter that can replace this. If you get a role, especially like this JV, this junior on JV, right? Or you're at the end of the bench, take the role. Take the job. If you take the job, you will at a minimum be better because you're doing this every single day in a way that applies directly to your dreams, right? For those of you that have aspirations of playing college basketball, aspirations of playing professional basketball, your best bet is to be in an environment that mimics that. Nothing mimics that environment like high school basketball. There's nothing you could do on your own. There's no club. So I'm talking a lot about this because it's super important, because we're so quick to get discouraged when we don't get what we want, even more so when we don't get what we think we've earned. Like you get sold this dream that if you put in the work that you're guaranteed to live the dream, and that's not true. You put in the work to simply put your name in the hat. You put in the work to apply for the job, right? And then if you get selected, you get selected. And then if you don't get selected, you ask, what could you have done to get selected? But that's what this is. This is not a simple, you do this, you get that. It doesn't work like that. Because what if everybody put the work in? What if everybody's really good? You've seen this at some of the better high schools. What if everybody's talented? What if everybody put in the time? Now we're right back to square one. Now it's about who's going to perform the best. Who has the biggest heart? Who is not afraid of pressure? Who can remember the plays? Who can execute when we need them to execute? Like clutch. Like who can we depend on? Who has the grades that's not going to have me worrying in December if they're eligible for the rest of the season or not? Who's going to embarrass us off campus? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that coaches have to take into account. And you want to be in a position where coaches are like, yo, I want you. Right? You don't even get to worry about those other things if you ain't ready to play. So you got to put in the work just so that they can consider those other things. Because if you're not good enough to hoop, I don't care about your GPA. You're not on my team. Right? The GPA doesn't matter. I don't care if you act a fool in the streets like that because you don't represent our team. You're somebody else's responsibility. And that's just the bottom line. So before we can worry about the factors that separate you from everybody else, we need the entry card. We need the card that allows you to even be here, which is, are you even good enough to play? So I don't want you to think that just because you put in all the work in the summer that you're guaranteed a spot and that you're guaranteed a role. I just gave you a few examples of the other things that come to mind. But it's at least the price of admission, right? It doesn't mean you get to get on all the rides. It doesn't mean you get to get what you want. It's simply the price of admission, putting in the work. So there's nothing like being on that team. And even if you get a role that you don't want, you're part of the system. You're there. The coaches know you. They recognize you. Next year might be your year, but even better, you can put in more work and you can skip the line as the season goes along. That is something that's challenging, but it's not impossible. You can earn playing time throughout the season. You can earn the coach's favor throughout the season, and they see you every day. So even if they offer you a role that you don't want, that you think is beneath you, or you don't want, you're discouraged because things didn't work out, take the uniform. There's nothing that you could do that could replace being here. I cannot stress that enough, but if I keep talking, I'm just going to repeat the same point. Take the damn uniform. There's nothing like it. All right? And like I said before, with this attitude and approach, by the time the season comes around, you will have mentally put yourself in a place where you are competing every single day. You're competing so much, right, that when the season comes around, if you get the role that you want, or if you're playing, you're ready to compete with other teams and whatnot, you'll be so ready to go because it's been smoke with your teammates the whole time. And the crazy thing is, because y'all been going at each other, right? Because y'all been going at each other for so long, there's going to be such a respect built amongst you guys because everybody's been on the same page. Everybody's been putting in the work. Everybody's been working hard, and you respect the people that you go through that you're in the trenches with, right? There's nothing like a brotherhood built through hard work or maybe hardships, tough times. When coach make you run all them suicides and 17s, the brothers that you ran those 17s with, that's a special bond because y'all went through something together. The sisterhood, y'all went through something together. So it's an exclusive club that nobody else can really be a part of unless they were a part of it last year, the year before, or maybe if you stick around, the people that come in behind you next year, right? But right now, this is an exclusive club. This is about us. And when y'all go to the other schools, it's almost like gang violence. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like gang violence. They got the wrong colors on. You know what I'm saying? They in the wrong territory. Who said you could be here? Where you from? You know what I'm saying? It's really gang violence low key, but they call it school spirit. You know what I'm saying? They call it high school sports. Like I know salad dressing when I see salad dressing. The lettuce in this salad right here is gang violence, but I'm not going to go there. What I am going to say is you will have built a brotherhood with your teammates and a sisterhood with your teammates that's so strong that you'll be ready to go against anybody because you paid the price. All right? You paid the price not necessarily to win games, but you paid the price to deserve to win. All right? You've paid the price to where you have the right to feel like you can be in any game and that you can beat any team. You've earned it. You've been killing yourself at practice. Coach has been putting you through hell and back. You know what I'm saying? And you came back way stronger, not just physically, but mentally. You've been doing workouts that you never thought you could complete. You're doing things that you would never do if you were by yourself, right? So mentally, your confidence is up. There's no reason why you don't deserve to compete and win these games. Now, nobody goes undefeated. I mean, if you see somebody go undefeated, that's special, right? But the right to win games. It's like, I belong here. We belong here. We deserve to win. We have every right to win. You can see that spirit in a team by the way they warm up, by the way they compete, the energy they have on defense. That's really a telltale sign as to whether or not they think they have a chance to win or whether they have the right to win, the permission to not just win, but to dominate the opponent as well. So it's like you put all of that together and it's like you're ready to go. You don't really need a preseason to be ready to play. You need a preseason only to work out the kinks in the offense. You know what I'm saying? To see how these things that you've been doing at practice works against other teams. The defensive schemes that you want to run, how does it work when people don't know the plays? Because you've been practicing against people that know exactly what you're going to do because you're all on the same team. So how does it look when teams don't know your strategies and that's what preseason is really for. But as far as ready to play, ready to win, ready to dominate, deserving to win, giving yourself permission to play, you've been ready to go because you've been competing and mentally you've been in season since the beginning of October. You've been in season since October. So the readiness is there. You just need to iron out some of the kinks in the preseason. But you're like mentally, you're ready to go because you've been in season for 2 months before the first jump ball. So with that being the case, this is your October game plan. This is what you need to be doing for the month of October. Locking in, making sure that you're dominating at your position. You're exposing everybody at your position. You're making it clear that this belongs to you. It's go time. There's no more time to experiment. There's no more time to goof off and play around. There's no more time to joke. This is about taking what's yours now. This is the end of the tryout period. Coaches are making their cuts now. Like I said, that first week of tryouts is really just to see what football players is going to help out and to see if they missed anybody. But this is it. This is decision time. This is when coaches really decide who they're going to trust throughout the season. If they give you a role that you don't want, take it, because nothing can possibly replace being on a team, because you're going to go and work on days that you don't want to, doing something that is ahead of you. College and pro, you got aspirations, college and pro, this is what they do. This is where you want to be. You don't want to be like, oh, I'll train by myself and come back better. If they give you a role that you don't want, take it. Learn, grow, and go at people through the season. Let them know that their spot ain't safe. Okay? And by the time the season comes around, because you in this mindset, you'll be ready to go. You will be absolutely ready to go. I'm talking about a caged dog that they just let out. You know what I'm saying? So just wanted to go over that real quick. I ain't gonna lie, this going live thing was a little scary to me, because it's like, you know, when you pre-record an episode of something, you have the freedom to make mistakes. And, you know, I kind of got through this without a problem. I do appreciate y'all pulling up. If y'all got questions, y'all can go ahead and ask and whatnot. But for me, I just wanted to offer this, because a lot of people go through these things, and when you go through these basketball channels and you look at these basketball accounts, most of the time it's just like, look at this cool new move. You know what I'm saying? Check out this bag. Add this to your bag. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's usually a lot of that, right? A lot of cool. But it's not a lot of basketball. It's a lot of the swag, a lot of the drip, a lot of the bag work, a lot of the cool that is associated with basketball. It's not basketball itself. When you're dealing with basketball itself, you got to deal with your running thoughts. You got to deal with your emotions. You got to deal with the perspectives of other people. You got to you have to be secure to not be killed by what other people think, but you do need to worry about what other people think, because what other people think is going to determine the role that you get. These are your coaches. You have to care about what other people think. So there's a lot of balancing in this. You got to regulate relationships. You don't know the people that you competing with. You know what I'm saying? They might not be as mature as you, where you think this is all just basketball, and to them, they feel like you taking something from them on a personal level. This kind of stuff leads to fights, and you got to be ready to put your hands up. And we thought it was just basketball, but if you've played enough basketball on a competitive level, you know that people take this so seriously that sometimes it leads to that, and you got to be prepared for that. You know what I'm saying? You came here to hoop. You might need to take a boxing lesson or two, because sometimes you got to keep, just get people up off you. I'm not saying that you should go after people, but I'm saying sometimes you got to get people up off you. There's a lot that goes into this that you don't really get to see. So I feel like this was a good opportunity to share some of the stuff that goes on in the game that has to do with the game, but kind of doesn't. These are the things people don't tell you if you don't know. And even if you're going through it, oftentimes you don't really have a good outlet to speak about these things, because they are going on. Sometimes coaches say something to you and it'll completely kill your confidence. sometimes coaches say something to you and you take it too far. Like it was a compliment that you just took it and you ran with it, and coach ain't even mean it like that. Like, we are human beings and we got emotions and we got running thoughts and we want things to work out so bad. And there's so much that goes into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you have to be able to manage your thoughts, your emotions. You have to be able to be present. Like, how many of us have taken nervous free throws, right? And you're nervous because you're scared you're going to miss. Sometimes you're anxious and you're nervous because you're so excited that you're going to make it. Your mind is so preoccupied with the future being the result being the make or the miss. You're so occupied with the make or the miss, which hasn't happened yet, that you're not in the present, which is doing your free throw routine, right? Your free throw routine might be bounce, spin, breathe, hands, relax, shoot. Instead of focusing on the routine, you so locked into the potential result of the make or the miss. And because your mind is on that future, which is only like 3 seconds ahead of you, it takes you away from your process, and that drops your free throw percentage. Do you have any idea how many people are really good free throw shooters, but because they cannot control their thoughts from being in the future, because they cannot stay in the present, they end up missing? Like, I know all of you have seen people who have really good shooting forms, but they miss their free throws a lot. And you're like, yo, how is this person who has such a really good form and a really good process miss their free throws? It's because mentally they're not here. They're ahead of themselves. So when so something like this for me is dope to be able to share, no matter how few of you are in here. It's something dope for me to share because there's so much more to competitive basketball. There's so much more to competitive sports than just practice hard, play well. It don't work like that, because if it did, all the practice warriors would be absolute killers in the game. But they get called practice players for a reason. It's because they don't show up in the game. It don't work like that. So I'm going to get up out of here. I do appreciate y'all pulling up real quick. For the sake of all of the other platforms, the streaming platforms, the YouTubes and all that, I'm going to say like, share, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to get up out of here. For real, I do appreciate y'all pulling up. This was fun. Next time we do this, you know, if you got questions, go ahead and ask. But I'm going to go for right now. Y'all be good.